When it comes to Casper, this may sound crazy, but I'm still not going to give up, and I'm still going to continue to dollar cost average, even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee. I do want to first start off by saying how when it comes to the details of what happened to Casper Labs rebranding to Prove AI and moving to Hedera, and my thoughts on the future of the Casper network, again, I did talk about that in my previous video in great detail, so feel free to check that one out, and I think it's going to give great context to what I'm going to say here. But even besides that point, when it comes to Casper, again, why am I not giving up? Because simply put, the price is so low to the point that it's looking very appetizing to me. It's looking very juicy in a sense, even though some people may think, okay, that sounds kind of weird. But here's the thing, man. Casper going to the price of 25 cents from right now, that right there is around a 30x from here. Could you imagine that? That's kind of insane to think about, like literally. I mean, wow. But what's even more crazy is that if, let's say, Casper keeps going lower, which I wouldn't be surprised if it did, because as of right now, the FUD is insane. But even besides that, let's say Casper goes to the price of half a cent. Could you imagine that? Just going back to the price of 5 cents, that's around a 10x from there. 10 cents at that point from, again, half a cent would be around a 20x. That's crazy to think about. Now, again, as of right now, I'm not expecting Casper to do that like in the next month or two. I'm not saying that it will do that again, because as of right now, again, sentiment is complete caca. It's terrible. A lot of people feel betrayed, by what Casper Labs did. But even besides that point, it's kind of insane to think about, again, how low Casper is. And here's the thing. Sometimes people like to say that, yeah, it's the end, all this type of stuff. But personally, in my opinion, let's say 6 months from right now, 7 months, 8 months from right now, whatever the case may be, right? Once a lot of the people who have, disdain for Casper, once the people who are like agitated, all this type of stuff, once they've completely left, these new people who enter, they probably might not even look into this type of stuff, right? They might not even know. Because think about this, right? The people who got in like Dogecoin, like let's say a couple of years ago, did they know that the founder of Dogecoin, or should I say, the creator of it, right? Did they know that he sold actually, his Dogecoin holdings back in 2015 or whatever like that? And he bought like a Honda. And the reason for that was because he got laid off, and then, of course, he had to sell it. But even besides that point, like, I think sometimes people don't understand that, right? Because in 2021, when people were FOMOing into, like, Dogecoin, they didn't know about this type of stuff. But I bet, like, back then, people who knew about Dogecoin, they were probably like, oh, wow, the founder didn't believe in it, all this type of stuff. But then, in due time, of course, people kind of forgot about it. Also, on top of that, you take a look at how there's many projects out there that the founders left, but then the project has still gone to do very well. So when it comes to this, I'm not saying that Casper is going to do well. I'm not guaranteeing that whatsoever. These are all just hypothetical scenarios after all. I'm not a part of the Casper team. I don't have a magic crystal ball, and I can't predict the future. I can't do that again. I'm just speculating here, but this is just what I'm seeing. Not to mention, this has happened to me before when it comes to a project dumping really hard and then having a massive recovery. You take a look at, for instance, something in the case of Floki, and this is a verifiable fact, by the way, because even one of my earliest videos ever is on Floki. When I purchased Floki initially, what happened? The price dumped over 90%, and I'm not joking. Literally, that was the case. At that time, I did feel like selling, by the way, and I was like, oh man, I just felt like kind of sick in the stomach in a sense. I was like, oh wow, this thing is down over 90%. I was like, oh, this is, complete caca. And not to mention, right? Not soon after that, what happened? The Terra Luna crash. I lost big on that as well. So I was looking at Terra Luna crash. I was like, wow, that's complete caca. And then also I take a look at my Floki holdings. I was like, oh man, this is terrible in my opinion. But what did I do? I didn't give up. I kept dollar cost averaging. I kept accumulating. Then what happened? Suddenly, Floki did around a 30x. And I'm not joking, by the way. You can take a look at the Floki price chart. Even though it's having somewhat of a pullback as of right now, it did do that, right? And I'm still way up when it comes to what I was when I was down. So you got to think about that. Now, am I saying that Casper is going to be the next Floki? I can't say that because I don't know the future. But here's the thing. I've been through this before. I've been through, when people were saying Floki is trash, all this type of stuff. I was in the Telegram group chat, by the way. When Floki dumped, man, the sentiment was terrible. I mean, it was completely insane. I felt like giving up, but hey, I didn't give up. But I'm glad, because the way I viewed it was that it was an unrealized loss, even though, of course, it's painful, seeing over 90% loss, but I still viewed it as like, hey, I think better days are ahead. And not to mention, right, during a fully fledged bull run, people typically forget about these type of things, because if you take a look at Solana, when it had 8 different network outages in just a time span of a year, everyone thought it was done. They're like, okay, the best days are behind Solana, all this type of stuff. But now Solana had a good recovery. People forgot about that. So I think people sometimes often ignore that. And here's the thing, under the new direction of the Casper Association, quite essentially having more of a retail focus, I would assume, I think that right there could be beneficial, because if, let's say, they focus on exchange listings, this could be beneficial when it comes to something like Casper, because if, let's say, Casper gets listed in a major exchange, bam, that right there is instantly people changing their mind in most cases, right? The way you take a look at it as of right now is that through this dump, a lot of the people that don't really believe in Casper anymore, they're leaving. They're completely out in most cases, right? Now, the ones that are, sticking around when it comes to Casper, they're the true diamond hands. And I'm not saying anyone has to do that. I'm not just saying that again. But here's the thing. If, let's say, again, Casper gets listed in a couple major exchanges or even just one, that could very well be a momentum shift as of right there. Now, I'm not guaranteeing that, that's going to happen when it comes to Casper, but that could very well happen. We just never know, especially with the new direction under Michael Stewart, again, the CTO of the Casper Association. And here's the thing. Imagine once Casper 2.0 launches. Now, I don't know the exact date when it's going to launch because I'm not part of the Casper team, but here's the thing. If it does launch, aka Condor, right, Casper 2.0, that could be so massive when it comes to Casper, just, again, the sentiment change. Also, on top of that, you take a look at how, with this new direction, they could very well focus on the retail market. So, again, if we see like DeFi projects popping up, like NFT projects, gaming projects, maybe even like these smaller scale AI projects, it could still be fantastic when it comes to changing the sentiment when it comes to Casper. Because sometimes people like to say that, wow, Casper is so bad, all this type of stuff. Well, here's the thing. Casper isn't actually bad, foundationally speaking, as a layer 1 blockchain. You take a look at how it's very fast. Gas fees are relatively very low. Also, on top of that, you take a look at how it's very scalable. So it's not bad, in my opinion. Whatever happened when it comes to Casper Labs, it is what it is, right? Some people like to say, oh, they allegedly sold all this type of stuff, their Casper holdings, all this type of stuff. Again, allegedly. Now, if let's say we assume that is the case, allegedly again, if let's say that happened, then okay, a lot of the badness is kind of gone. I'd call it that, right? A lot of the caca-ness, right? It's quite essentially gone because, quite essentially, again, if that Casper is out there in circulation, it's for these new people to enter in, or quite essentially also for the existing people to continue to accumulate. Now, I'm not saying anyone has to do that, but personally for me, the way I view it is that if something is so low, man, sometimes there's no way to go but back up again. And the crazy thing about, some people saying, yeah, it's going to become like, the next Terra Luna, all this type of stuff. The crazy thing is this, when it comes to Luna back then, right, when it depegged from its stablecoin, it kind of had this like mechanism where it just kept like minting more and more and more. So of course the price spiraled down. That was a complete disaster. But when it comes to Casper, it doesn't have that same mechanism, so to speak, right? Casper doesn't rely on the same mechanics. It's different, right? It's not like pegged to like a stable coin. You know what I mean? So that right there is completely different. The way you take a look at Casper is that, is it going to be the next big layer 1 blockchain? There's a probability that it might not, right? But there's also a probability that it might recover. So we never really know. And personally for me, I'm willing to take that chance because I'm in the world of cryptocurrency anyways. I haven't sold any of my Casper. I'm still staking. And because a lot of people left Casper, my staking rewards have actually gone up. And now I'm not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm just saying, I'm more of a risk taker in a sense. I'm not telling anyone to do again what I'm doing. This is just personally for me. I'm just one person, by the way. There's over 600 million crypto owners according to Crypto.com research. I'm just, again, one individual. But here's my approach to even just like, let's say video games, for instance. Let's say I'm playing Madden. Let's say I'm playing against my friend. I'm in my fourth down, fourth quarter. I'm down by 3 points. I can either kick the field goal, let's say get 3 points, and then tie the game and go into overtime, or I can go for that Hail Mary. What am I doing? I'm going for that Hail Mary. That's it, because I want to win. That's the way I view it. Now, that's in gaming. It's a little bit different than this, but that's just the way you take a look at it. When I purchased Casper, right? When I acquired Casper, that was an amount that I was like, hey, it is what it is anyways. It's not affecting my day-to-day life. I was content with feeling like, hey, it's going to do what it's going to do. Whether I like it or not, whatever direction, it's out of my control at that point. But personally for me, I hold a lot of other projects as well. But even besides that point, I'm still willing to wait and see what happens to Casper like 6 months from right now, a year from right now, because I think the race is far from over. I'm not going to give up. Of course, again, Casper is not the only thing I hold, but again, I'm still not going to quit on it because the way I view it is that the race is far from over. I just want to wait and see. If, let's say, Casper doesn't do what we expect it to do, okay, whatever, right? But at least I waited and see. You know what I mean? because I'm in the world of cryptocurrencies as of right now. It's not like a lot of my holdings have done like a 200x or something like that. I'm still waiting and seeing when it comes to a lot of my other projects. And it's not like Casper is the only one that's not doing the best. You know what I mean? Now, granted, Casper has kind of caught this perfect storm where like they had the security breach. Now, allegedly, some people think that it was something going on behind the scenes, but we can't confirm that. Also, on top of that, we take a look at Casper Labs, becoming Proof AI and moving to Hedera. We all know that, right? But when it comes to HBAR, more specifically, again, Hedera, right? When I take a look at my HBAR holdings, it's also not doing the best. So really, anyway you take a look at it, I'm still going to wait when it comes to HBAR. I'm waiting when it comes to Casper. I'm waiting when it comes to Quant. I'm waiting when it comes to Casper. Even though Casper, I'm not talking about this Casper, I'm talking about a different Casper. Even though it's done pretty well, I'm still waiting on that as well. When it comes to Link, I'm still waiting, right? When it comes to my holdings, when it comes to Jazz, I'm still waiting as well. So I'm still waiting on all the other projects. So if I'm waiting for them, I'm just also going to wait for Casper. That's just the way I view it. We'll wait and see. Who knows what's going to happen? But again, I'm staying patient because I still believe that this crypto space could be amazing. Whether or not Casper is going to join that ride, only time will tell, but I'm willing to wait and see again. So when people like to say I'm crazy, all this type of stuff, well, maybe, who knows? But at least I'm willing to take this chance. Again, not financial advice. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, basically. This is just what I'm doing. I'm just speaking about it, but that's just my opinion, though. And again, we'll have to wait and see when it comes to Casper, but I'm willing to do that. And of course, along the way, I'm going to give updates, but, around 6 months from right now, a year from right now, again, things could be different. We never know. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. And feel free to become a channel member if you want to. That way you can get a prioritized response from me in the comments. And also on top of that, make sure to subscribe if you gained value from this video. I greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.